Hey everyone, it's Heather Nichols and welcome to another Make It Monday. Today we're going to create a card that is watercolored with what looks like no outline, which means like no black outline stamp image that we're going to watercolor in. So we're going to stamp our image. This is the flower from Friends to the End, and I'm stamping it in a fine linen ink. Soft stone ink would also work wonderful for this, and I'm stamping it on a rustic white cardstock for this project. I'm going to do a little bit of fast forwarding so you can just watch how I'm watercoloring, because I know that there's so many of us out there that think that this can be kind of a scary project to do. But let me tell you, I have never taken a watercolor class or anything like that. I have had classes in college on coloring and color, but watercoloring for me has just been playing around with what I'm painting with here is ink refills that I dripped out onto some acetate, and then I'm picking up with a watercolor brush and I'm painting it right onto the stamped image. So the best thing that I can suggest for this is that you can say, I'm not a watercolor person and I don't do art that well. You really have to just play around with it and try different things until you get the effects that you like. And yes, that first one that you do may not turn out gorgeous, but if you keep trying, believe me, you will get to where you want to be. So what I'm doing on the flower, just to give you an idea of the colors I'm using here, because that's, I know, one of the hardest things is putting together color combinations. I'm using Berry Sorbet ink refill for the base of the flower, and that's what I'm painting on the flower right now as you're watching me see. The colors that I'm going to use for some shadowing are some Pure Poppy and also a little bit of Scarlet Jewel, which I'm also going to use for the center of the flower. But first I'm focusing on this Berry Sorbet, and then I'm actually going to do a little shading with the Berry Sorbet because, I mean, you can use just another layer of the same color to add some shadow. And my goal here is to try to make the petals stand out from each other, which is one of the reasons I colored the petals separately. If I had just gone through and watercolored this in one big blob, you really aren't going to be able to tell the petals apart. But when I watercolored them separately, it makes them stand out separately. So here I'm shading with another layer of Berry Sorbet ink. And I guess with flowers, the cool thing is that you can't really mess up a flower. There are so many ways that light hits a flower that you really just playing around, it's just going to be beautiful no matter how you do it. But what I'm doing is I'm making some of the darker tones come out from the center of the flower. Because if you think about it, some of those colors are just more saturated towards the center of the flower, and as it grows out, it kind of fades a little bit to the tips. So there's the Berry Sorbet, and here I'm going to add some of the Pure Poppy coloring. Just a little bit. A little bit of dark goes a long way. Just remember, you can always add more color, but it is really difficult, especially in watercolor, to take this color away. And I'm not hitting every single petal with the red, I'm just touching where I think it will look good. Okay, so now I'm working on the center of the flower. The center, I'm actually, see how I'm just doing dots? Now watercolor flows and blends into each other, and so it's a little bit unpredictable medium to work with. And that's okay, you just have to know that it's going to do that. So what I did is I did Pure Poppy first, and then I'm adding Scarlet Jewel on top. And can you see by me adding kind of just a polka dot texture, I get a cool center texture to that flower. Next I'm going to do the leaves here. I'm doing Spring Moss first, and then I'm going to add Ripe Avocado for a little bit of shadowing on top of that. One thing with watercoloring, and I haven't done a lot of this yet on this image, but I will at the end here, is using a heat tool with it to kind of dry your colors when you like them the way they are is a good tip. So just a little bit of heat, it'll dry things up. As you can see from the beginning of when I first started coloring my flower, it's kind of faded and dried a little bit, and it already looks different. Now here what I'm doing is I'm actually taking fine linen ink and I'm kind of filling in the gaps, and I'm doing an outline. This is going to help clean up my edges and make that flower pop just a little bit more. Plus it looks antique and I like that. So now I'm heating this up and I'm just going to dry it in place. And then let's finish your card. I stamped a sentiment from the Thank You Kindly set that just recently came out in black ink on top, and I'm going to wrap a little bit of jute around. I'm keeping this card really simple because the time I put into watercoloring it, I want that part of my card to shine and not a million layers. And so I'll just tie this on the inside because I don't want a bow on the outside or anything, just a little bit of jute to kind of set off just a little bit of something extra. And so now it's your turn. I would love to see what kinds of things you come up with watercoloring with no outline on a card project to share. Go to Nicole's blog. You can get all the details on posting and sharing your projects, and I can't wait to see what you create. Thanks for joining me, everyone. This is Heather Nichols. Have a great week.